Hey everybody, so today I'm going to give you a brief introduction to ceremonial speeches, also known as commemorative speeches. I hope everybody's doing great. I know today I am outside and it is incredibly warm and sunny, so I figured I would do this outside. So I hope everybody else is enjoying whatever weather is currently happening as you're watching this video. So I'm just going to switch over to our slides and we'll get started. Okay, so ceremonial speeches. What types are there? There's 4 specific types that you're going to be considering as you decide what type of speech you're going to do. There's the speech of introduction. With that one, you're going to be introducing the main speaker of the event to the audience. So it's your job to fill people in on who that person is and why they're being recognized. There's also the speech of presentation. This is where you present someone with a gift, an award, or some form of public recognition. These are pretty common. We see them a lot with awards shows, so it's easy for you to understand exactly what that one is. There's the speech of acceptance. So that would be the recipient, the person who's receiving the award or what have you, giving thanks for that gift, award, or whatever form of public recognition is taking place. And then the commemorative speech. That speech is going to be ultimately praising someone, something, etc., or celebrating someone or something. When we talk about the speech of introduction, there's a few tips that you want to use. You want to make sure and be brief because, as you might recall, I said you're introducing the main act. So you're not there necessarily to get the attention for yourself, but to help recognize whoever it is that's coming up after you. You want to make sure that your remarks are completely accurate. When you're talking about them, when you're giving information, you want to make sure that you really have your facts straight. So you should definitely do some research and make sure that you're on the right track. Be sure to get the speaker's name correct. Pronounce it correctly. Probably not a huge problem for you guys since you're going to be making this up. But if you're not, if it's in real life, make sure that you know how to say their name. Adapt your remarks to the occasion. So depending on your audience or the event, etc., you may want to be more professional or maybe a little more casual. So make sure that you are adjusting accordingly. Do the same thing, adapt your remarks to the speaker. So who are they? Are they a little bit more stoic? Are they laid back? You kind of want to be on par with their personality, the way that they're going to present or speak after you, because you don't want that very significant break in, tone and, well, yeah, mostly tone. You want it to seem similar. Also, I kind of jumped the gun on this one. I said adapt your remarks to the audience. So consider who your audience is and what's going to be of interest to them, what they're going to want to hear, what they need to know. And then it's your job when you're doing a speech of introduction to create a sense of anticipation and drama. You want to get the crowd, the audience, excited about the person that's going to be coming up after you and make them really anticipate them coming up to the stage, be excited, etc. The next one we'll talk about is the speech of presentation. The speech of presentation, as I mentioned, you'll be receiving an award or a gift or whatnot. So it can be just a simple announcement, a simple thank you, or it can be a little bit longer of a speech. And in you guys' case, of course, I'm dictating the length, so you don't really have to consider that as much. The main point of the entire speech is telling the audience why that person is receiving the award or recognition. So give us an idea of who they are, what makes them worthy of praise, why they're winning the award, maybe some specifics about what made them eligible or what made them stand out above the others that were being considered for that award. Focus only on the achievements related to the award. So if you're giving an award to someone for their stellar acting skills, excuse me, you don't necessarily want to talk about how they climbed some mountain summit, because it's not necessarily related. So you want to make sure that the achievements that you include as you're introducing that person are relevant to whatever the award or the gift, etc., that they're receiving actually is. Describe the award if the audience is unfamiliar with it. This may be the case for you when you're giving your speech, because you have the option of making up an award and presenting it to someone, real or fictional, totally up to you. So we may not necessarily understand what that award is, what it takes to get the award. So giving some history on it, why it began, how recipients are chosen, etc. And then also acknowledge other participants or contestants if that's applicable. So if there are multiple people that were being considered for that award, giving them at least a certain amount of recognition to say, you know, hey, we had a lot of people that really deserved this award, stellar candidates, etc. But then ultimately out of that field of potential recipients, this person stood out as the most deserving, etc. So we also have the speech of acceptance. So when the person comes up to the stage to actually receive the award, that's what this is going to be. You want to make sure that you thank the people that bestowed the award upon you. You want to be gracious, grateful. You want to try to mention the people that are responsible for you receiving the award, whether it be family, friends, co-workers, etc. And the focus in this one is going to be being gracious, being brief, and being humble. I'm not sure if you guys have ever watched an awards show where someone comes up there and they're incredibly cocky and they pretend like, you know what, I deserve this award and there's no reason that I shouldn't have gotten this award. It's about time. And that really ruins it for the audience. And it also really ruins it if the person drones on incessantly. So that's where being brief comes in. And then also being grateful, making sure that you're recognizing people that helped you get there. That's going to help avoid making you sound cocky or disrespectful. The last speech type is the commemorative speech, and some tips include paying tribute to the person or the group of people or the institution or the idea. So this gets a little bit difficult to conceptualize without thinking specifically of some examples. One example that is really easy probably for everybody to recognize and understand would be a best man speech or a maid of honor speech. That would be a commemorative speech. You're paying tribute to a group of people or a pair of people. Another one would be a eulogy, delivering a eulogy at a funeral, or possibly dedicating a building to an individual. So if that person has donated a large sum of money and this building is being named after them, that would be another type of commemorative speech. An institution, so you could be giving a speech on possibly a charity that has done significant work in the neighborhood and you want to recognize that. So that's some ideas on that one. There are a lot of options with the commemorative speech. So a lot of times people choose this just because there's so many different ones that fall into this category. So as part of this speech, you want to make sure that you're talking about why the subject is praiseworthy. Why should we care? Why are we giving them attention? Why do they deserve the attention? So it's going to be mentioning things that they have done that are significant or that deserve ultimately our attention. So you want to draw on specific examples of things they've done in the past, provide testimony maybe from a colleague or somebody who is very aware of what that person or what that group has done, and then also listing achievements possibly that that person or that group has taken part in. The primary goal of this speech is to inspire the audience to respect and admire the subject. We want to commemorate that person, and so it should be a positive, affirming type of thing. You should really focus on expressing feelings and stirring sentiments in this type of speech, so you want to target that. And then also use figurative language and rhetorical devices. These are especially effective in this type of speech. Things like metaphors, repetition, alliteration, anaphora, the list goes on and on and on. And it's really easy to find examples of figurative language or rhetorical devices by doing just a basic Google search if that's something that you're interested in learning more about, or of course, you can ask me about it if there's something that you're not so sure about. Okay, so those were the types of speeches and some of the tips on those. So your job for this speech in particular, the ceremonial speech, your first major speech, you're going to give a ceremonial address. You can choose whether you're giving an introduction, a presentation, an acceptance, or a ceremonial speech. I've mentioned a couple of ideas, but there's a few others that you could consider, even maybe a valedictory speech, so that would be an acceptance speech. An award presentation for the outstanding academic performance, so that would be a speech of presentation. I mentioned a eulogy, or it could be a speech of introduction where you decide to introduce the instructor or maybe a peer from the class to your group. And obviously the list goes on and on. It's totally up to you what you want to do with this. So the options are pretty limitless. With this speech, I want you to dress the part. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm asking you to wear a suit and tie. Because there can be so many different speeches, it's going to depend on what type of speech you give in terms of what you're going to wear. So if you're giving a eulogy, it's perfectly acceptable to wear a simple black shirt and black pants. That would be more than appropriate. If you're giving a valedictory speech, if you still have your cap and gown, sport it, throw it on, call it good. I'm just asking you to consider the situation. What type of speech are you giving? And then choose your attire appropriately. So if you have any questions about that and you're not really sure what you should wear or what's appropriate, please talk to me. I'm really flexible on this one. So don't get scared and think, oh my God, I have to go shopping and spend a god-awful amount of money that I don't have because she told me that I have to dress up. Please don't do that. Please talk to me before that. And then finally, this speech is going to be 3 to 5 minutes in length. I do not want you to go under. I do not want you to go over. A lot of times people think that if they go over the recommended time that they're going to get brownie points, but that's not the case. I want you guys to work within that time frame so that you can learn how long a speech has to be or how long your outline should be in order to fit within time constraints, because especially with a ceremonial speech, there are going to be time constraints. Hey, look, you guys, we only have 5 minutes on the stage. You're going to be introducing this person. You can't go over 3 minutes because we need to give them 2 minutes to actually do their speech of acceptance. So you need to learn how to adjust to a time frame. And the best way to do this is to practice. Once you have your outline put together, once you whittle it down to your speaking outline, which we'll find more out about soon, I promise, Once you've whittled it down, then you should be practicing and timing yourself, maybe even recording yourself so you can see how long your speech actually is. And then tailor it to either reduce its length or increase its length accordingly, or maybe you did it just perfect the first time and way to go. So stay within that time frame, please. So that's all I have for ceremonial speeches, and we have plenty more presentations coming up, and I hope you guys are well and you take care. Thank you so much, and goodbye.